Hello, everybody. My name is Sherry Sutton, and I am your marketing mentor. So excited. This is a huge day. Our book, Journey to Myself, launched today on Amazon. I'm here with Temperance, who is one of the other amazing authors in this collection of stories by women who, give up all their fear, give you a peek behind the curtain, and share their most vulnerable stories and how it transformed their lives. And so super excited to be here with her today. We've been doing interviews kind of throughout the day. So Temperance, yay!
Yay!
Tell me a little bit about how you got involved with this project.
Oh, so this is actually kind of interesting because I had an Akashic Records reading back in February, March, and Spirit came through and said, hey, there's going to be a multi-author book project that you need to be a part of, and maybe you should start writing a little bit of your chapter now so that when it comes around, you'll just be prepared. And
What?
it was a really big healing reading for me, that one. And then
Wow.
flash forward a couple of months and I'm in an entrepreneur group, just minding my own business. And there's Kristen with a post of, hey, I'm doing this multi-author book project about journey to myself and spirituality. And I was just like, wait, what? Here's Spirit with a journey and right in my face. So it was a lot of synchronicities.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so cool. I have like goosebumps. That's really, really cool. So
Mm-hmm.
what, one of the funny things, we talked about this in some of the other interviews, was like, none of us has read each other's stories except
Right.
Kristen, who was the one who sort of organized the project as well as being an author. And so she was saying, like, it was almost a detriment to her that she got to read everybody's stories because she was like so intimidated.
Right.
But the rest of us like don't know each other's stories at all. So do you
Mm-hmm.
want to like tell us a little bit about your story, and without giving too much away, because you'll have to buy the book in order to get the full story.
Right. So the TLDR, I guess, is I, as a priestess, as an oracle, I'm one of few, well, few, I use that loosely, um, people who incarnate into this lifetime remembering. They remember their connection to source. They remember their connection to love, to community, to just collaboration on the whole. And that knowing as a small child gives you a very specific experience. And my experience, or well, it gives you one of two very specific experiences. Either you are fully supported and embraced and nurtured, or you're told that what you're seeing, hearing, sensing isn't real. And then you go down a road of being bullied because, well, I can see it, but nobody else can. And so, wait, is something wrong with me?
Yeah.
Um, and then just the sort of decisions that came from that mindset, the situations that I found myself in, some pretty heavy abuse in my life
Yeah.
that led to a very beautiful child that I love more than anything. And um, but then like that's not the end of my story. There's still a whole nother decade in there of how I've sort of found my whole path as a priestess and like really blossoming into that space while living a second life, basically, or more or less, as a working single mom.
Wow. So how does that manifest for you? Like what, I mean, and
Mm-hmm.
we're going to kind of lead into what you do, because you're going to do a tarot reading
Yeah.
for me. But yeah, how does that manifest into your work? Right. Like, I know you do tarot, I guess, and I know you do one-on-one coaching. Like, walk me through what that is and what that looks like, and the types of folks that come to you.
Um, so the types of people that often find me are seekers upon their journey. So when I was ordained as a priestess back in 2013, I took on the title Priestess of the Soul's Journey, which is why the journey to myself was like even more of a thing for me. um, And I have a knack of connecting with people and just getting really perfect and random analogies and ways of putting things together that just it syncs and it clicks, and people get this, I never thought of it like that experience. And it's a thing that just happens over and over again. And it's all unique, individual to every single person. So it's hard to explain in a lot of ways, I feel. Um, Other people, they come looking for help because they can hear spirit, they can sense spirit, and they are also people who were not supported in being able to identify that that's not a bad thing.
Right.
It may not be something you want, but it's not bad. And that makes a difference to delineate. And I'm often like the first person that comes to people and says, hey, no, that's normal. That's actually a thing that happens to not just you.
Right.
Like, person does it and that person does it. And I do it to a lot of degrees differently, but still, and just that sense of it's not just me.
Right.
That healing that comes with it, that's what I do. It's that healing.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really neat. So does that take form of like one-on-one coaching normally, or
Mm-hmm.
how does that usually work? Or does it
Usually it's
vary?
conversations like this. It
Yeah.
varies. Like I can get to it really easily with the cards because the cards don't lie. They will speak what they want to speak. And sometimes it's just channeled knowledge.
Yeah.
I'm an open channel, and so messages just come to me. And it's been like part of my story has been to understand that those messages are channeled messages and not just figments of my imagination, because what few people understand is that channeling spirit, source, universe energy, like there's this whole thread. It ties into your imagination facets because that's where it's born. That's your image center on the
Right.
inside. And so it's connected, but it's not just your imagination. It's just that happens to be the vehicle that it shows up in.
Oh, yeah. I have to imagine that's got to be a little bit of a mind shift
Absolutely.
that you have to
Yeah.
take, right? And like, oh, this, I'm not just making this up, or this isn't my imagination, or I'm not
Mm-hmm.
crazy, right? This is just the way
Absolutely.
it's coming to me. That's so interesting. I never thought
Yeah.
about it that way. That's cool. That's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
So do you want to do my reading? What do you want to, how do you
Yeah,
want to do this?
I can do that.
So
So
we've been
do you
talking
have,
about doing this for anybody who's live. The people keep kind of bouncing in and out, but anybody who's live, we were talking about doing this anyway, and so I was like, all right, let's just do it live. So here we are. Hopefully,
here we are.
nothing
And so
big
do you
gets
have
revealed.
a particular question that you want, or do you just want to see what the cards have to say?
Yeah, just what they have to say.
Great. So then, so as I'm shuffling, I'm getting deeper and deeper, like walking through more like the internal process. Um, Connecting to my higher self and channeling like the intention to connect to your higher self. And so that that message just sort of links and comes through. And then as I shuffle, sometimes cards will come flying out and sometimes they don't. It just kind of depends on the day. But then we get the Hanged Man, which I love in this deck is a little, wrong direction. Field Mouse.
Aww,
This
I
is
just
one
got
of the major.
total goosebumps.
So often when you see the Hanged Man in other decks, it's literally a hanged figure from a tree of knowledge. But in this deck, it's all animals. It was made by artists in the UK, printed at a local printing factory with like actual printing presses and everything.
Wow.
Elements of their boxing, yeah. And here they've got it on dandelions, and it's raining, but it's like holding on for dear life. This animal, or not dear life rather, but it's just in for the ride. And that's the story of the Hanged Man. But then what comes up next is the Four and then 6 of Pentacles, which is fascinating. Those came up recently in another deck. Oh, sorry. Camera angles.
Huh. Okay.
So the 4 of Pentacles here is about balance. Pentacles, coins. This is your earth element. So lots of prosperity and your more tangible things. But with the 4, especially, it's coming into balance and to foundation. There we go. And then moving into the 6, this figure has a pile to share, and there's other birds that have come along seeking help. And the 6 is the nature of giving and receiving. Sometimes it's wealth, and sometimes you have to be the person that is providing the wealth forward, and sometimes you need to be open to being the receiver of the wealth. And wealth being a state of well-being, not just financial gain. Granted, finances are often the thing that comes up with the Pentacles, and then especially we've got our book released today, so lots of that happening with more of a foundation coming through. But I think this is more of an invitation to shake up your belief of what a stable foundation looks like or should feel like. There's that should that is coming up as a piece of import. Ooh, but a word of caution. This is the 9 of Swords.
Okay.
This card comes in with like sorrow, and the image that's showing up is a different deck where it's got like your standard Rider-Waite, where it's got the swords hanging on the wall, but then the person in the bed is like ill, and it's lots of strife and grief. And I feel like this is more of a warning that your foundation is going to get shaken, and to stay open to receiving of help through other means, unexpected means, perhaps. But it's possible that things are going to get a little bit rocky.
And the way that these things work, is that sort of near term, long term, or is it sort of unknown, right?
So the way that I read, it's definitely in the realm of the decisions that you have already made up until this point have put you onto a trajectory.
Right.
You have new information, so that puts in a new piece of the puzzle and it shakes things up. So what's possible is you don't learn anything and you continue on, and this thing shows up in whatever way it's going to show up. Or you try to stay cognizant of it and can make subtle shifts so that it never happens in the first place. It's how free will comes in. What? I have my collection of things.
Yeah.
I want to see if there's another word that pops out for that card than what I'm just remembering. Nightmares and anguish for that one. Okay. But what we can do, because the cards do like to be helpful, is ask for clarification. What else can we do with it? What
okay, well now what?
About it? Exactly. Because this is how I do. I am how do we empower ourselves forward and better and set ourselves up for success? Because we don't want to end in anguish and in disharmony in any way. Like we want action steps. That's why I became a coach, or realized rather that I was a coach, because I want the happy feelings. I want everybody to have the life of their dreams. Page of Swords. Oh, that's great. That's great in a few ways. So here's the same bird, but regal and in the same suit, and therefore progression. So whatever anguish, whatever nightmares, whatever disharmony is on the horizon, it's setting you up for this. And so that's going to be the light always returns, right? It's a cycle.
Ooh,
Camera
I
is
love
accurate. Like you'll be in a state of darkness, but it's for the sake of growth. And so it's just going to feel gross, but it's going to be a full immersion into the next thing, because the page is the lowest of 4 in the suits, or of the court cards, which is the more mastery of the element. And swords is your power of words, your clarity of mind, decisiveness. It's those quick actions. And the page is embarking on this journey of full mastery where you end at the king. And so to have the 9 first and followed by the page is like, it'll be dark, but it serves a purpose, and the greater purpose is whatever comes next. But then too, this bird is perfectly between the world and further between the worlds, as in between the land, between the sky and the sea. There's all 3 in this card. And knowing that this deck was born in the British Isles, like the Celtic ties are very strong. And so to be of all 3 of those worlds is very pertinent, and it's super transformative.
And that's between, what were the 3? The sky, the sea, and the earth?
Yeah. Land, sea, and sky. New adventures for sure. Things are going to get shaken up, but then new horizons.
So try not to get too attached to the shakeup when it happens.
Attached like the mouse. You like be part of the dandelion stem, and you're gonna waffle. It's gonna go back and forth, but you're hanging on and you're safe on that. And that's part of the experience. It's leaning into the experience of the shakiness. Because if you don't understand the depth of that shake, you'll never understand the depths of the foundation that you have. Like right in our stories, how far have you come since that beginning, or the beginning of the end, or whatever state of it? And to understand the depths that entailed, like you had to be it, you had to live it, you had to go through it. And this is going to be a different version, but because you're aware,
right,
because you know the steps, you can go, okay, this is what's happening, let me just pay attention. And so today is going to suck, tomorrow might suck too, but the 3rd day we're good, as opposed to a week or 2 weeks or however long.
Right. Interesting. I love that.
Good.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Yeah, it's fun. Although, no one ever wants to hear that there's trouble, little troubles.
It's true. It's kind of shitty that that's the message that came out today, but honestly just goes to showcase that I'll give it to you straight.
Right. No, and that's what you like, that's how you should do it. And that's, why we do these things, right? I think it's, and just the things you can learn just through talking about it, right? The way that, you illustrate it, right? Even when you go through tough times, like I love that idea of, holding on to the dandelion stem, right? And that, you're safe. You just have to hold on as, as it sways, and the rain will be over, at some point, right?
Exactly.
So I love that analogy. That's really cool. So if people want to meet you or work with you, how do they find you?
So I have a Facebook group too. It's called the Peacock Community. Um, you can also find me online just about anywhere at the Peacock Witch.
Okay.
I hang out mostly on Instagram. I have a website.
Awesome. Well, I know your little one just got home, or not so
He
little.
did.
I've one the same age, and he'd be really mad right now if I was like, the little one. He'd be like, Mom, I'm not
Oh no,
little.
he totally just soaks up all of the I'm mama's baby. Haha.
Oh, really? Oh, gosh. Enjoy it, because it won't last for all that much longer. 10, 11, I think,
Oh,
is when it starts to
I'm
change. My
ready.
son.
I'm ready.
Right. I know. I was ready, and then it happened, and now I'm like, but hug me. Don't you love your mama? Don't you want to hug me and snuggle with me
Right.
on the couch? And he's like, no, good. I'm good. Well, I'm so happy to talk to you. I'm so glad we're doing this project
Yeah,
together. It's
me
been
too.
so wonderful getting to know you and everybody else who's in the group and part of this book. It's so great. If you guys want to buy it, it's in the comments below. There's a link, and we're so excited, and we hope that you love it. One of all of our goals is to allow ourselves to be vulnerable, to give other people the courage to be vulnerable. So the other kind of cool, very cool thing, not kind of cool, very cool thing is all of the money from the Kindle version is going to help Indigenous women. There's an incredible organization we're working with. I won't go into too many details. Kristen, in an interview I did earlier today, talked about it really, really nicely, and it's an incredible organization. So we're all really thrilled to be supporting that
I don't know if you
organization.
mentioned earlier,
Yeah,
but that charity foundation, they're based out of Portland too. So it's actually a local charity for me.
oh, that's awesome. I didn't realize that. I love Portland. I've only been there once, but I was one of those places where I was like, oh, I want to go back. It's so beautiful. I love it. So, well, good. Thank you for being here with me.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. All right. Bye, everybody. Buy the book.